We'll hide me for a second here. And yeah, it's if I read on here, general 3D modeling and environment art has been the main focus. So Maximus, what's up? How you doing? How are you? Yeah, so looking at this portfolio from Orlando, United States, very cool. I recognize some of this stuff as well. So we've got 5 scenes here, or 5 pieces, I should say, 5 posts. We've got a landing pad, an undead carriage, the fan art, the Street Fighter 6 fan art, Buckler Gym, a space hangar, and then a winter outpost. So thumbnail wise, I would say your thumbnails are pretty good. Most of the time, I would say you don't really need Orlando. Yeah, you did used to live there. Curious. It's crazy how time flies and things change, right? Um, yeah. So when we look at this portfolio, you can see the things that stick out to me are usually what are you framing, what's clipping, and how is it clipping. Like this edge here is that's quite a tight clip there. Areas of focus, or like the how you're framing your shots and your thumbnails, is quite interesting. And you don't always need art on top, like branding and all that stuff on top of it. What is time? True. Let's see how old some of these posts are. I'm not sure if they're like reordered or anything, but so this one's 3 months ago. This one is 2 weeks ago. Okay, I'll just assume 2 months ago. Okay, yeah. So I think with this landing pad, it's a fun weekend project, so that's good to know. So that giving you a bit of a context into the scale or the scope of the work. I'll paste this in chat as well, just so if you guys want to follow or look at the portfolio closer, you can. Um, yeah. So looking through this, there's not much that you need to show in order to be like, oh yeah, it's a landing pad. I guess I would want to see the bottom. I want to see UVs. I want to see how you're using your UVs for the main reasons of wanting to see UVs, right? Then I also want to be able to see the underside of the mesh. I guess it helps that we've got this viewer here. This helps a lot. This is actually, so when we look in this view, I know this is in Sketchfab, so it might be a little different, but or it may not be capable in that sense currently. But the way that the masks are mirrored like this, or this information, this is one of the main reasons I like masks, is because you can do a unique UV for the normals and the mask information, but then you can also do like a tileable for the materials themselves so that they can retain that resolution or that detail. But yeah, looking at the landing pad, let me zoom in here. It looks, I mean, it looks all right. Resolution wise, it's a little on the low res side, but I don't know to what extent. Like, do you want to be using this for like an RTS? Because then it's like this. Is it supposed to be for third person? If it's third person, this feels like it's closer to a third person resolution. But there's some unknowns when it comes to like what is this material type. I'm assuming it's like those rubbery tarmac type of paneling, but I don't get a sense of like how that's put together or understanding the surface through the roughness, if that makes sense. So it's just like you need to be able to understand all of that stuff. The way the paint lines work is pretty good. I think if we click here, yeah, if we go into our settings, I think we can look at base color. And when you look at this, looking at like what the saturation is and value, paying attention to those is going to be extremely important when it comes to PBR based work. And I believe this is all PBR, but it's also like understanding how it's being utilized. Yeah, see, we've got some like, that's weird. Hang on. Those seams are hidden pretty well. But there's a weird offset in them. I'm curious why that's like that. I'm assuming maybe it's like, is it mirrored or a duplicate for the UV space? Oh, that's interesting. Ooh, what a nice tool. I've never seen this before. It lets you know where. So we have base color. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's super nice. I don't know if you guys ever seen that. That's a really nice way of being able to highlight things. Um, but yeah, okay. And then I guess we've got our, see, the naming conventions too. This is something I will be slightly triggered by, just seeing like, oh, you should name your, just name your stuff. You'll make future developers happier just doing that. Oh yeah, it is mirrored. Okay, so we're looking at, oh, this is really interesting how you built this. Oh, that's super cool. But yeah, very nice. It's a little dark in the middle here. Not sure if that should be like that. I would say we're looking in base color. This is definitely too dark for realistic PBR ranges. But I guess it's the roughness is helping mask that out a bit. So our roughness is really interesting as well. Getting some variety in here would be good. I mean, there's a bit in there, but maybe getting the paint to pop a little bit more. Also, when you look at, like, if we look at the final render here, the normal information where the paint is, if that was just a little bit blurrier, that kind of hints at like all the little micro information in the normals being kind of softened up by the paint that's on the surface. There's also the opportunity to do some paint wear right on the edge there, just to show like these edges are a little, a little bit more worn. But yeah, let's keep moving on here and just kind of look at your other works. The thing I'm noticing with the other posts as well. Yeah, see this one as well. I want to see your geometry. I want to see what your wireframes look like, what your UVs look like, how your roughness maps look, especially how your metalness looks. That's like there's so much information that can be had there to help me understand where your understanding is when it comes to PBR, how you model the UV stuff. Since I was able to look at it in the other scene, was really nice because it gave me an understanding of like how you're thinking about your UVs and how you're trying to increase your resolution given that. The environment is pretty blank, and I think for the most part that can be okay. I really appreciate the shadow on the ground to help like ground it. If there was something you could do about even just like a horizon line or like a curve to the backdrop that gives you a brighter back, and then like it kind of just goes down to the ground, I think that would help a lot. I'm not sure. Try to match the concept with this lighting. Had a bit more fun matching a spooky aesthetic with this lighting. Yeah, I didn't even notice the little candles and stuff. See, I feel like, so for me, this asset's very rigid. Let's see what the concept is you're going off of. So you can see like in this concept, there's a lot of things happening that break the rigidity or the rigidness, the rigidness of the piece. So when we go back here, it's all very even and almost mathematical. Whereas like in the concept, of course, it's going to be a little bit different, right? Different lengths of pieces of sticks and varying colors and little strapped pieces and whatnot. And that we're just missing that when it comes to like pushing that detail. Also, I have to zoom in quite far to really appreciate a lot of the information that you've put in, all the little details that you've added, to the point where when I zoom in, like what I want to be able to do is zoom in this far and look at rigidity. I want to be able to zoom in this far and look at the details and see what you're doing and how you're doing things and where you're placing your your details and whatnot. But it's very low res, so I can't really do it. And when you look at the whole image here, there's so much information being lost. Like you could trim this and still get the same feeling, and it would still, like, you would get more pixels for your work, if that makes sense. So there's a lot missing here. I want to see your textures. I want to see your UVs, your geo. I want higher resolution images. I know there's a limit. Like if you're not pro, you can't do like 4K, but you can get closer, or you can add more renders of like close-ups of areas. A prop breakdown would be good. Like I noticed in this image, like the candles here are floating right off the edge there. That feels strange to me. There's a lot of reflections happening in the surfaces here, which is also a little strange. Some simplicity in the geometry could be pushed a little bit further. There's all these things, the logic of the wheels and how they're put together, where the seam lines are for like how the spokes are placed into each other. Is all of this wood or is there metal? The direction of the wood grain should go in the direction of the, like, how the wheel is built. It's all those things that you really want to see. There's some pretty hard edges here. Maybe those are better when it's like, if it was a higher res render, I could see that information. So it's just me highlighting all of the things I want to see. There's also, when we look here at just in roughness in general, everything is pretty similar in roughness. This might be quite reflective. I can't tell. It looks like it a little bit. The metal is popping out. You can see you're getting these nice little highlights here. Really nice. And I think bringing in more of those attributes into your work would go a long way. Like, see the wheel in the concept? The wheel is there's like a multitude of different materials going on here. We've got this like outer ring, which could be metal or like a darker wood. I would hope it's metal for longevity's sake. But getting the wood going around this wood being lighter also gives you a separation between the body of the carriage. And then you've got metal elements and then another wood piece as well. Like all those separations give you those details that that you're going to want to really like push your asset further. Like I can see now when I look at it a little closer, this definitely is a different material. It just doesn't have any metal attributes to it. Like the metalness doesn't look like it's there. Like it's not white in the metalness map. And there's no like wood, what do you call it? The rings in the wood grain. Like we don't see any of that in here. So it's just not getting pushed as far as it could be. And you can see if this is your framing and you upload as high res as possible, that's going to be Frey, how you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, so I feel like we're missing a lot of information when we look at this post. The Street Fighter scene, I remember reviewing this and looking at it. And like this scene's really cool because there's a lot of like storytelling. You do have a month until your review, yeah. There's a lot of storytelling going on here, and like where props are placed, and overall the general vibe of the space is really good. Is there I need like a reference image to go off of. Let me see if I can just pull this out over here. Oh no. There we go. Well, it's a good thing I opened this up on another tab. There's definitely nudity instantly somehow, which is weird because what? So your fan art actually is the thing that comes up when I search for this. How crazy is that? I'm actually not finding any references for this. What? But yeah, that's weird. Anywho, when I look at this scene, it's kind of the same feedback I gave you previously. Areas are very dark. There's not a lot of variation in the surfaces, so it's hard to read like what materials are made out of what. There's some weird lines when it comes to, like, if I click this and we go in over here, this line information here, how it's clipped like that, feels a little strange. The lights hanging here, I feel like there's ways to get those to pop a little bit more, with like either the rays coming out or something like that. Let me see if I can copy this image, bring it into Photoshop. Just gonna like run some levels on it. Let me see here. Filter, camera raw. Let's see if we can control exposure. That'd be crazy. Kind of working. Yes, if you push the exposure down, hit OK on that. And we'll dupe the other one and just leave it like low, high. And then let's put a mask on there and invert this. So what I'm thinking is, if you were, let's invert that again. If you were just popping the center and really like toning down the sides, you can really lean into this like whole idea of like maybe it's nighttime, and then the lights are really illuminating the floor here. Like this is where all the visuals are being pushed, where your eyes are being focused to. Because yeah, when I look at the scene, it's strangely clean in the roughness. I'm not sure what this surface type is. Yeah, so this surface type's a little odd feeling to me. I like the reflections that are happening. It's just everything is just really pristine. Given like the state, like this is really good. Like adding those, because these are these laser lines here, all these straight edges. These ones are kind of unavoidable, and they kind of lead into that strangeness that you already see quite often when you're in a space like this. These punching bags feel really high. You see what I'm saying? Like getting a character in here, that's got to be just elevated, and it needs to be lowered, right? Like you can just pull that down, I assume. But yeah, it's really like trying to get focus on what you want us to look at, you know? That's a good question. So, like, if we look at this environment, the question's basically like, how do you, like, how does someone deal with making an environment that wants to show off all of it? So, like, you want to look at this, and you want to look over here, and you want to show off everything, but compositionally, it's only a single focal point is like the strength of it, right? You pick the topics to focus on. That's all you do. Like focus on this for a shot. Turn the angle so that the camera is looking at the propping here. Like doff everything out. You could focus on the hook up here and have the camera facing like towards our camera. Everything's blurred out and you're just looking at the high res, like textured pass of the hook. Really kind of focusing on specific areas, like this area could be quite interesting. Like if you go up or down the stairs, is there supposed to be any propping that's up here? Or is it like, is there shelves that are supposed to be there with things to grab? There's benches here. Is there like stuff that's supposed to hang on the walls? There's all these like little stories that you can tell in the way that stuff is just put together. Yeah, you have multiple shots, and don't have shots that are always showing everything. Maybe you focus in on like a few assets, right? So it turns into a diorama almost when you're looking at these. It turns into a material focus when you look at the hook that's hanging. So it's those types of those things that I would be looking for to like try and push this further when it comes to, because see, this is like a nice overview shot. This one's more of like the view you would expect to see if you're like standing there. I would see if you can find like, it's pretty easy to find rigged characters or Maximo, I believe, characters that can be posed just hanging on, like putting their hands on the banister and just looking out. Characters do a lot now, so keep that in mind. We'll hurry through the last two here because I just want to really emphasize some things. Here, I feel like we're really just missing the full lighting pass. There's a lot of like repetitive details that are happening that make it a little difficult to really process what you're seeing or like give you insight into understanding the space. So like these look like bays. So it says space hangar. I would see if you can find a ship online or something and just put it on there, you know? Just getting those extra details out. Like this, I guess this is hangar 3. Or like every one of these is like, I would assume like you would put 3 here and then put some other type of signage to explain the other locations, right? And is everyone that's coming out here already has all their stuff, I'm assuming. So they pick up all their stuff and then they come out of these doors and then they walk to their platform, they do their thing, and then off they go. So this has a lot of like readability issues when it comes to trying to figure out what to do with repetitive design when you have a space that's repetitive like this, but then also explaining what it is, getting us to really understand like how it functions, what are the things that happen in here. Like all these lights are here, right? Are they meant to illuminate the walkway? Because the walkway is already pretty well illuminated with all these like little node lights. So I'm assuming these are meant to illuminate the landing pads. And if that's the case, then we probably don't need illumination of the same type up here, right? This is like the opportunity to break the pattern in a logical way, where like above the door and all the cabling, maybe there's a thing here that tells you like the schedule of like what ships are taking off, who's coming in. Like it's kind of like air control, or like, you know, when you're at an airport. So it's just something here. Think about the form and function of a space when you really push these spaces that have a function, because that, to me, that's like a make or break for really understanding the space. It also, when you think about stuff like that, it gives you artistic opportunities for changing the space up and understanding what you're trying to build and the believability of it. So like if there's a screen here, that'd be awesome. And it allows you to lean even further into the theming of like what hangar you're in. Like it could be like hangar 3, and then like it's even like a visual graph showing like which platform. It's like icona, what is the word? Iconography? I don't remember the word. Iconography? No. I don't know, man. But it's basically visuals for like line work that explains the layout of the space from above. And that does a ton. And I think my brain's tired. Anyways, I really like the scene, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to break those up. The other thing I would say is watching out for too much repetition and figuring out how to get your lights to pop more. Like your lights just do not have any bloom or directionality. They feel like they're just point lights when they could be like flowing outwards. Let me just try and grab this here. They could have their, you know, their... So if we take this light, for example, just one of these. I'm trying to think how we do this. So if I grab this one, maybe I'll just like, just gonna boost it up. And then we'll just put a mask on top, invert it, and I'll just bloom it that way. So let's say that's pretty bright light, right? But then taking, I'll just add that down as well. doing something like grabbing this corner out like this. Yeah. Let's do. Put a mask on that. We'll just do this. You know, you're getting that look, that specific kind of. We can maybe even filter and then do like a blur, Gaussian blur to just drop the edges a little bit. I have to remember that I'm actually blurring the image behind it too because of the way I did this. But I think it makes it clear to really understand what you're seeing, what you're looking at, and I mean illuminating these pads more than the rest of the scene would be good, right? So like these should be pretty bright, you know? Getting those to pop out more so you really understand the space. And like maybe these lights, instead of being every so often, maybe they're longer and there's fewer of them, and then you have like we have stairs here, but is this actually open? Like, can I go that way? It kind of feels like it's not designed for me to cross over. Like getting this pattern further into the space would do a lot, you know? Whoa. Reverse flashbang. Helping connect the walkways over. Well, you guys are just dumping those points. Oh my god, we're at 99%. It's happening. It's happening tonight. But yeah. Community challenge complete. Oh my god, it's happened. J Crew with the J Crew did it. The other thing I was gonna say before we move on from this scene, the Emperor will be most pleased. It's true. Getting this text to read better, it's very hard to see on the surfaces. Oh, scale wise too, this is very strange feeling. Like these feel huge. I don't know if you agree, but those details feel really large, and the bevel and the size of these is really, it feels scaled up, like in the UVs. So keep an eye on that type of stuff. And ambient occlusion is your friend. Saw this info down here. Getting some nice AO down there really would like push that info down, give you a little room to breathe on the details since there's so much information happening. Yeah, let me look at this last one here. So this one's pretty cool. There's a few things I want to highlight. Oh man, that this bottom one's much stronger. But really like pushing. If we keep adding points, can we? I mean, if you can get it to, I don't know. If you can get it to 750,000, we'll get 2 toys. How about that? I did some quick math on that. I don't know if that's even possible in 7 days, but you never know. 750K. Let's go. Yeah, when we look at this, there's areas where you're like, this discrepancy is there, you know? But then at the same time, I see you're thinking about stuff like, okay, this is really hot. Like, of course, all the snow around this is melting. That's freaking great. That's really cool. Really, really cool. I like this lighting scenario better than this one, just because this one feels very hard to read, whereas this one, it allows you to focus more on the heat sources, right? The fire. So for these tents, I was gonna say, like if we take these tents and let's just, how would I do this? Can I actually select that? I don't I don't know. Let's just select this one. Like getting that, but brighter. You know, that's like getting that feeling of the snow on there. I'm just gonna kind of wash it a bit here. And then let's mask it and invert that. Uh-oh. Why is my Photoshop freaking out? Oh, my Photoshop's crashing. Is that really happening? There it goes. Wow, you've become so unstable these days, Photoshop. Let me just switch some stuff around here. No, okay, if you can get it to 650K, let's go with that. 650K, we'll get Madu more toys. I can't even, what is happening here? Give me a second, guys. Okay. Oh, like, what is that? Oh, okay, yeah. Is that gonna work? Oh, kinda. We'll just basically make this kind of look like the snow. Yeah, getting this to feel like it's covered in snow is going to be really good, I believe. Because it just makes it feel so much more grounded in the space, you know? And just making sure that everything kind of has that treatment. Like the tops of these barrels should have some snow on them. And like the seats that are away from the fire, or like showing that people are sitting there, you can do a lot with those types of details. The only other things I was probably going to highlight here, I think, is like these getting some variety in the height. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. Getting some variety in the height and then breaking it up so we're not seeing the patterns. You got to fight those patterns. Like, patterns are your enemy when it comes to like naturally making a place feel not like it was built by someone, but like, I mean, I know this was built by someone, but manufactured by a 3D artist. You got to get away from those types of details, right? And that's going to be like taking the diameter of these pieces of wood. Like those trees, were they really that thick? I think if they were thinner, they'd be more relatable. And then varying in size and length and how they were trimmed up to be like sharp and pointy. Like that's going to go a long way for kind of like just bringing everything together. But overall, when I look at your portfolio, I would say you're sitting at a, like this, your Street Fighter scene's quite good. There's little subtle nuances of things that you need to work on with your presentation for what you're showing in your portfolio. Getting those UVs in there, wireframes, understanding of PBR being shown through your texture maps. That's all that stuff's going to help a lot. And then really like just going in there and tuning the smaller things that I was highlighting, like light sources, really like focusing on like the detail that's present and where do we look? Where do you want us to look? Tying everything together like I was doing with the snow. And that all of that combined will just elevate you so much more, kind of for free. Because like once you have that kind of in your checklist of things to be thinking about as you go through stuff, you'll just go for it, you know? Like you'll skyrocket in quality. But yeah, cool. Thank you for sharing, Jason.